The Australian woman Zomi Frankcom has been identified as one of 4 international aid workers killed in an apparent Israeli strike in Gaza. Friend and colleague Dora Weekly says she had incredible energy and she was an inspiration. She's spoken to ABC presenter Joe Bryan, saying today has been incredibly tough.
I've been messaging the guys at World Central Kitchen in Washington and talking to the team that worked on the fires with me in Australia, down in Bermagui, and everyone's pretty heartbroken. It's kind of unthinkable to comprehend that people doing good work and helping others would be killed. So everyone's pretty at a loss for words, really.
So when did you first meet Zomi and where?
Yeah, I was living in New York in 2019 and was called in as media unit to film with World Central Kitchen as they were doing disaster relief in the Bahamas and feeding people post-Hurricane Dorian. And Zomi was one of the people running the relief. So I got to meet her first there, and then we stayed in touch after that disaster. And in 2020, I was in Australia and they reached out to me to say, the fires are happening. Who do you know and how can you help? And I pulled together a team of people and we got to work.
And what struck you about her when you first met her in the Bahamas and did that work with her?
Zomi was relentless. She huge-hearted and just really, I'm going to cry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just really dedicated and really driven.
And
worked all hours and just would put everything into it, you know.
And tell us about the work that she was doing there in the Bahamas and what you were doing with her at that stage.
Yeah, so World Central Kitchen are a first food responder. So they're often the people that are on the scene before any other relief organisations and often before any government or other aid gets in there. So she was feeding people that had been displaced, people that were homeless, people that had nowhere to go. She was often kind of doing community outreach and finding where the people in need were and making sure that they would have a hot meal every day to look forward to and to give them some kind of hope for the future. So she was kind of on the front lines, really, of helping everyone in need.
And at that stage, as I understand it, you were working with the media unit. So were you interviewing her, and how was that working with her and putting something together like that?
Yeah, it was just myself and a friend of mine, Alex, and we were just following what they were doing. And so we were interviewing everybody on the ground. We were finding the people that they were feeding. It actually became a film that Ron Howard made called We'd Feed People about World Central Kitchen. And was put up for Emmys, and Zomi actually went to the Emmys. I remember getting a picture of her in the dress saying, hold on to this forever, because usually I'm in sweats and runners and I'm in Pakistan or Afghanistan or, you know, she could be anywhere. Never sort of with her hair done or makeup on, but she just worked all hours and she gave everything and she believed in helping people that were less fortunate.
And as someone who was putting together a media piece, were you drawn to her as talent?
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely larger than life. You knew when Zomi was around. She had a very loud voice. She commanded attention. They're such a beautiful organisation and they're full of kind-hearted humans that really, you know, put their lives on the line to help people in need.
And so you kept in touch with her after the Bahamas?
Yeah, we it's pretty common, but we're all sort of linked through WhatsApp, so there's often messages back and forth between everybody. And I remember she sent me a message and sort of said, I know we only really speak when there's disasters happening, but how are you? So and we've kind of, you know, she'd send me photos of her dogs and we'd talk about whatever. And it was mostly, though, she would sort of say, this is kicking off somewhere. Do you know anyone? Can you help? Can you pull together contacts? She called me Dora the Explorer and just said, you'll know somebody.
And so was it you who contacted her when Bermagui was happening, or how did you become connected through that?
I was actually in Australia and I knew them all from when I'd done the Bahamas, and they knew I was in Australia and they saw the fires were kicking off and said, and her and Sam Block at World Central Kitchen contacted me and said, what can we do? How bad is it? Where's the need? So I started reaching out to all the communities and contacted Kelly Eastwood, who I'd worked with on MasterChef, actually. I knew she had a kitchen in Bermagui, and I sort of pitched to Sam, instead of going in there and building something, let's empower the community to feed the community. So we got Kelly on board and a team of locals in Bermagui, and we took over that and started feeding all the areas around that during the fires.
And how was Zomi involved in that?
Zomi was one of the first people that came out. So her and Sam hit the ground. They were the boots on ground. So I would be kind of making calls, finding people for them to go meet and to ascertain where the need was. So she was sort of driving around, meeting people, setting up the kitchen, doing all sorts of things. And then she and Sam actually got pulled out to go and deal with the coronavirus in Japan.
Right. Yeah, so she just had this hectic life, huh?
Very. You never really knew where she would be. So it's like anyone with World Central Kitchen, I get messages from them. They're like, oh, we're here, we're there, I mean, the Ukraine was kicking off when I went up and did the floods in Northern Rivers, and the Ukraine was happening at the same time, so they were all there. And I remember sort of feeling a bit worried for them then. But she lived a very crazy life. She just got a job as a director of operations over Asia, so she was going to look after a lot of Asian countries, but she went to Gaza.
Yeah. And were you aware that she was in Gaza?
I didn't know that she'd gone to Gaza, no.
Yeah.
I actually found out because my mum sent me an article and said, have you seen this?
But you weren't surprised that she ended up somewhere like that because of her devotion to what she did?
Absolutely not. Yeah, she would just go where they needed her to be, and that's, Zomi.
Yeah.
She just jump in and get it done.
And Dora, I'm just looking at the photo of you and Zomi, the selfie that you took. There was obviously a terrific connection between the two of you, and it looks like from the tree in the background that was in Bermagui, or where was that and when?
No, that was actually after they'd gone to Japan to deal with coronavirus. I had stayed on in Bermagui with Kelly, and we'd kept running the operation in Bermagui. And Zomi had come back from Japan and wanted me to download about what had happened and all that. And we'd met up in a cafe in Redfern. I didn't even think about the fact that she'd been surrounded by coronavirus at that time. And we sat and laughed and shared this kind of, really surreal moment of talking about what was going on in Japan and thinking, wow, the world's changing. And I mean, in any situation when you work in disaster relief, the people you work with, the trauma of the community, what you deal with every day, it really bonds people and life. And I think that, all of the World Central Kitchen gang have become like family. And
when was the last time you actually spoke to her?
She messaged me probably last year. She was in Sydney and I wanted to catch up and I couldn't because I was away filming something. But, she'd sent me a photo of her dogs and we had a laugh, and she sent me some meme of a potato saying, it's a potato, but I believe in you.
And going back through the messages that you've exchanged with her, you've been looking at them over the last couple of hours. What kind of memories has that brought back?
Yeah, just, she was always straight to the point, Zomi. When she needed help, she reached out, but she was always really supportive and understanding, and she used to call me Honey Chop. It's really surreal.
Yeah.
And I think, I've messaged the rest of the World Central Kitchen guys, and I'm just starting to hear back from them because they're all around the world, and it's just really, really unthinkable.
And what has the world lost now that she's gone, and the other World Central Kitchen employees and the Palestinian driver?
Yeah, I don't actually know the other World Central Kitchen workers. I don't know if their names have been released. I kind of haven't looked, to be honest. But I definitely think, in a time of crisis, you look to the helpers, and we've lost a really great one and a group of them. And it's a big hit for an organisation that do so much worldwide, So, it's devastating.
And you'll continue to draw inspiration from her?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel for her family that are in Melbourne. And I know all the team in Bermagui are kind of, you know, mourning today. And I think, yeah, anyone that does this full time, a lot, it takes a lot. And for that kind of person to, yeah, for her light to no longer be around is really sad, but it is inspiring, and I'm so proud of all the work that she's done.
Okay, Dora Weekly, thanks so much for talking to us and paying tribute to Zomi.
Thanks, Joe.